Imagine being able to flip a giant switch and pause the cosmos for an instant. Galaxies halt in their motion, light hangs suspended in interstellar space, black holes hold their breath. In that absolute silence, you would suddenly grasp an uncomfortable truth. Almost everything that determines the evolution of the universe is invisible to our eyes and instruments. This isn't poetry, it's cosmic accounting. Matter made of protons, neutrons, and electrons, the matter that builds planets, people, telescopes, is in the minority. The majority, which dictates the architecture of galaxies and the fate of the cosmos, remains out of sight. Dark matter is the first great enigma. Its signature is not light, but gravity, galactic rotation curves that are too flat to be explained by visible mass, gravitational lenses that bend the light of background galaxies more than stars and gas alone would allow. Clusters like the bullet cluster, where overheated baryonic matter is separated from the observed center of gravity. It's a massive ghost. We know it's there because otherwise the stars at the edges of galaxies would fly away. But what it is, no one knows. Candidates abound. WIMPs, axions, sterile neutrinos, or even primordial mini-black holes. The alternative explanation, that the laws of gravity must be modified on large scales, works in certain contexts but struggles to reconcile all observations together, from clusters to the cosmic microwave background. Perhaps the answer is hybrid, or perhaps we're still missing an elementary piece, like before the electron, when no one could imagine modern chemistry. Then there's dark energy, the silent director of accelerated expansion. In the late 1990s, by measuring the brightness of distant supernovae, astronomers expected to find a decelerating cosmos. Instead, they saw the opposite. Space itself is expanding ever faster. We call it energy, more out of desperation than understanding. It could be Einstein's cosmological constant, an intrinsic property of the vacuum, or a dynamic field, a quintessence, that changes over time. This brings the coincidence problem. Why, precisely now, halfway through cosmic history, are the densities of dark energy and matter comparable, when in the past and future they diverge enormously? If acceleration continues, our cosmic horizon will shrink. Many billions of years from now, beyond the local group, the sky will be nearly devoid of visible galaxies. A future of isolation born from a physics we do not yet understand. To the mysteries of content, we can add the mysteries of measurement. The so-called Hubble tension is a subtle but persistent rift. The expansion rate obtained from measuring local, standard candles, such as Cepheids and Type Ia supernovae, does not match the value inferred from the young universe by observing the cosmic microwave background. This is no trivial difference. It's large enough to suggest either systematic errors that everyone, independently, is making, or new physics between the primordial radiation and the present epoch. An extra particle, an unexpected interaction, an evolving dark energy? The cosmos answers with an opaque smile. The James Webb Space Telescope has added fuel to the fire. Looking back to epochs when the universe was only a few 100 million years old, it found galaxies surprisingly luminous and structured. It's like discovering skyscraper-filled cities at the dawn of civilization. There are escape routes. Perhaps primordial stars were more massive and efficient at producing light. Perhaps we are misled by dust or by incorrect conversions between luminosity and mass. But the more data arrive, the more that, too early, too big, seems like a message, not noise. If structures grow so quickly, then their seeds must be special. Clouds collapsing directly into black holes, or regions where dark matter gathers with livelier dynamics than we think. The catalogue of enigmas continues with FRBs, fast radio bursts that last milliseconds and release staggering amounts of energy. Some repeat, with pauses that are sometimes nearly periodic. Others are unrepeatable, one-shots. An important clue came when a magnetar in our own galaxy produced an exceptional radio burst, showing that at least some FRBs can be generated by neutron stars with colossal magnetic fields. But the entire set, the variety of profiles, dispersions, galactic contexts, resists confinement to a single explanation. Hypotheses range from catastrophic magnetic winds to field reconnections, from exotic collapses to, more boldly, astrophysical technologies of advanced civilizations. It's not the preferred option, but in an honest inventory of possible mechanisms it remains a healthy reminder. Nature may have toys we do not yet know. Even the fossil of the Big Bang is not without incongruities. The cosmic microwave background is strikingly uniform, yet shows anomalies on large angular scales. A cold spot, apparently too extended, curious alignments of low harmonic multipoles, hemispherical asymmetries that some have nicknamed the axis of evil. These could be mere statistical flukes. In such a vast universe, even unlikely events happen. Or they could be signals of a non-trivial spatial topology, of a slightly anisotropic universe, or even the imprint of an ancient collision with another cosmic bubble. Inflation, the hypothesis of a rapid expansion in the universe's first instance, explains well the uniformity and flat geometry, but brings its own questions. What started it? What stopped it? Is it unique or eternally recurring, spawning infinite, child universes, each with its own constants? Another open wound is the asymmetry between matter and antimatter. The equations of the Standard Model treat the two almost equally, yet, after the primordial annihilation, a tiny but decisive excess of matter survived, enough to build stars and life. The CP violation observed in the decays of certain particles is too weak to explain the entire imbalance. New sources are needed. Baryogenesis tied to cosmic phase transitions, leptogenesis scenarios with heavy neutrinos decaying out of equilibrium. Here too, every trail opens more doors. And as we follow ever subtler clues, the shadow of the 21-centimeter line from primordial hydrogen appears and disappears. A supposed deep signal from the cosmic dawn was announced and then questioned for possible contamination and systematics. If that signal were real and truly so intense, we might need to invoke unexpected interactions between dark matter and gas, or unlisted radiative processes. It's the kind of lead that makes astrophysics both exciting and frustrating. With each step forward, the horizon shifts farther away. And it doesn't end there. Every time we increase our instrument sensitivity, the universe seems to answer with a bolder enigma. Take supermassive black holes. Not only are they present at the center of almost every large galaxy, but they also appear very early in cosmic history. Growing an object of millions or billions of solar masses in less than a billion years is a race against time that challenges ordinary accretion limited by radiation, the so-called Eddington limit. Three paths are on the table today. Already large seeds born from the direct collapse of metal-free clouds, super Eddington accretion during explosive and chaotic phases, or repeated mergers of intermediate black holes in ultradense environments like primordial star clusters. Each scenario leaves different observable fingerprints, spectra, intermediate masses, merger rates, and the coming years will be a hunt for the culprit with ever richer catalogs, reaching gravitational frequencies where we can hear the dance of massive pairs in formation. Some push the paradox even further back in time. What if a fraction of dark matter were made of black holes born before the first stars, during extreme density fluctuations in the universe's earliest instance? Constraints from microlensing, primordial nucleosynthesis, and gravitational waves keep this hypothesis in check across many mass ranges, but do not eliminate it entirely. If we were ever to find a coherent population of compact objects with no signs of stellar formation, the idea would return with force, opening an unexpected bridge between primordial cosmology and the astrophysics of compact sources. Perhaps the most capricious messengers are ultra-high-energy cosmic rays, particles so fast they skirt the limits imposed by interactions with the cosmic background, the famous GZK cutoff. Where do they come from? Relativistic jets from active galactic nuclei, titanic shocks in the lobes of radio galaxies, rare and hyper-energetic explosions? Their incoming direction is blurred by intergalactic magnetic fields, like a deranged compass. And while we chase these invisible bullets, other messengers whisper different stories. Ultra-high energy neutrinos that pass through walls of lead as if they were mist. Gravitational waves telling of black hole mergers with unexpected masses. Some in the no man's land, where stellar evolution shouldn't produce remnants due to pair instability. Every new catalog brings a statistical surprise that cries out, new physics or new astrophysical channels, and we find ourselves piecing the puzzle together with rules that change as we play. On the neutron star front, magnetars remain unmatched laboratories. Magnetic fields 1,000 billion times stronger than Earth store elastic energy in the stellar crust until, like an earthquake, they release it in an instant. It's plausible that some FRBs are born here, especially when we see an X-ray or gamma burst coincide with a radio flash. But the variety of characteristic timescales, polarizations, and environmental contexts, hosts in metal-poor dwarf galaxies, in dusty spiral arms, near galactic nuclei, suggests an extended family of engines, compact cataclysms, interactions with stellar winds, magnetospheres pushed to the edge of stability. Mysteries are not confined to extreme realms. Even seemingly prosaic details challenge us. Why do nature's fundamental constants have exactly the values we observe? Measurements of absorption lines in distant quasars have hinted, in the past, at minute variations in the fine structure constant. Today the verdict is undecided, caught between conflicting results and new instruments promising greater precision. A real change, even a tiny one, would have staggering implications. Galaxies, stars, and organic chemistry would exist differently. Likewise, we still do not know whether the neutrino is its own antiparticle, a Majorana particle, or what its mass ordering is. It may sound like laboratory minutiae, but the solution influences leptogenesis scenarios and the entire story of cosmic asymmetry. Shifting our gaze to interplanetary scales, more terrestrial, yet equally enticing questions emerge. Does a large outer planet, the famous Planet 9, really exist, shaping the orbits of certain Kuiper belt objects? The observed alignments could be a statistical mirage or a selection bias. Yet the hunt continues, because a distant super-Earth would rewrite the dynamical history of the solar system. Interstellar visitors, too, like the peculiar Oumuamua and Comet 2I, Borisov, are calling cards from other systems. The first displayed photometric and dynamic behavior unlike that of classical comets. Explanations range from unusual gas outgassing to bizarre, fragile geometries. It's a reminder that the zoology of minor bodies is far more varied than our own backyard suggests. On the grandest scales, cosmic voids, regions like the famous Boötes void, with few galaxies across hundreds of millions of light-years, raise questions about the very fabric of the universe. Webs of filaments and walls gathered around rarefied spaces. Large-scale distribution matches simulations with cold dark matter quite well, yet some fine-scale statistics, the abundance of satellites, the density of galactic cores, certain rotation curves, continue to pluck dissonant strains. Are these true problems, or flaws in our models of stellar and black hole feedback? This is where the frontier between cosmology and galaxy astrophysics lies, distinguishing what is new physics and what is just complexity. When we seek a deeper framework, radical ideas return. Gravity might not be fundamental, but emerge as an entropic phenomenon from microscopic degrees of freedom of the vacuum. Space-time might be a quantum lattice, a network of relations whose smooth fabric appears only on average, like a pixelated photo seen from afar. Some even imagine geometry as a holographic projection of intertwined quantum information. Reality is a surface where entanglement and curvature join hands. These are visions still far from experimental verification, but they offer conceptual maps to navigate among paradoxes that otherwise seem incompatible. Black hole thermodynamics, information that is not lost, the reconciliation between quantum mechanics and relativity. And yet, despite the vertigo, astronomy has a humble, stubborn character. It measures, compares, disproves, starts over. Every photon caught by a sensor is a vote in favor of one story over another. Every noise subtracted reveals a new nuance. Every time we think we've closed a case, nature reminds us that its dictionary is larger than ours. We have no definitive answers on dark matter, dark energy, the origin of supermassives, FRBs, CMB anomalies, the true expansion rate, or matter-antimatter asymmetry. But we have a course: build more sensitive instruments, weave together different messengers, light, particles, gravitational waves, and let theory and observation converse without fear of rewriting the premises. If tomorrow we were to flip that imaginary switch again, and in the suspended darkness listen to the cosmos, perhaps we would hear not silence, but a chorus of questions. And that's the point. The universe is not a finished book to be deciphered once and for all. It is an open work inviting us to participate. And in that invitation, in the stubborn pleasure of understanding just a grain more, lies the reason why we keep building telescopes, training intuition, and telling what we see. Because science, before giving answers, trains the gaze to ask better questions. And that is how, one enigma at a time, we turn darkness into knowledge. If you've made it this far, it means you love curiosity as much as we do. If you enjoyed this journey, leave a like, write a comment, and subscribe to the channel. It's the best way to support what we do. Your presence truly makes a difference. Until the next exploration.